Hi, my name is Milka Mutuku, a fourth-year student at Kenyatta University. I'm doing counseling psychology. Well, my health journey started a long time ago. I am a fifth born in a family of 5 girls, a last born that is. I have 4 elder sisters who are, most of them already married. And yes, growing up in a large family was fun. It has always been interesting. And for me, my health part, I have always been a healthy baby, always. Since I was a child, I have never been admitted to hospital. I think the only time I was admitted was when I was a kid. I think one of my breasts had enlarged. But other than that, growing up, no admissions, no serious illnesses, all the way to my high school. So from class 8 to high school, of course, I wanted to go to a national school. I did, which was fun for me. I went to Limuru Girls. The 4 years went smoothly for me, nothing major that happened until I was in my 4th year, my final year from 4. I started having allergies. I started feeling extremely cold at night. For me, I was joking about it. I was telling my classmates I am allergic to the darkness. I would get rashes all over. I thought it was a protein allergy at first. So I would take antihistamine, I would take prednisons, and all those meds too are for allergy. And then after my high school, the year that we were out was okay for me. And when I joined campus in 2017 September, I was still okay. But when it came to 2018, I think that's the year when it was really cold. I think in January, we were having extreme temperatures. So I started having really extreme joint pains. I will not get out of bed. Nikiamka asubuhi, I will remain still in bed. I will remain still in bed for a while. And then after like 5-6 minutes, then I would feel my body and now I would wake up. So it started slowly. I would feel pain when I hold my pen. I would feel pain as I walk. One day I'm limping, the next I'm okay. 1 minute I'm limping, the next I'm okay. So I told my mom, I told her I'm not feeling okay. I feel like my body is not okay. So she took me to a general doctor. The doctor asked me how I'm feeling. I told her this and this and this, and then I was referred to a rheumatologist. So when I went to the rheumatologist, he said that probably it's arthritis, but we have to do tests to confirm. So that is when my arthritis journey started in 2018. I think the very beginning of 2018. So I will go for tests. I will take meds, painkillers, because we had not exactly noted what it was. So as I was taking the meds, as I was continuing, it got worse. By July, I was having extreme pains. My muscles had deformed, had deformed like zimeisha kabisa. I had grown really pain. My knees had inflamed, so I could not turn. When I sleep in one position, I will sleep in that position all the night, like hadi asubuhi. Because when I turn, I feel extreme pain in my knees or my wrists. Yeah, at that point I could not walk, I could not bathe, I could not raise up my phone and type, I could not brush my teeth. Literally, my sisters were doing everything for me. They were washing me, they were carrying me from the bed to the seat, they were brushing my teeth for me. Like literally, I could not do anything. I wouldn't even go to the washroom and open my pants because my hands were extremely painful. Just folding my hands was extremely painful for me. I think in that year, 2018, I was diagnosed. The doctor said it was juvenile idiopathic arthritis. That means that they do not know what form it's going to take. It is still active in the body. They don't know. So I will take meds. I was still on tests. And then now we started doing admissions. We did admissions for a while, and then the doctor actually said that it's finally rheumatoid arthritis. So I would go for there was a new drug in the market that is called tocilizumab. So I will go for admissions and get injections for that for 3 days, 3 nights. And from there, the pain started easing. I could walk, I could talk, I could write, I could bathe, I could do things for myself now. So it became manageable. I would manage it. I went back to school. I would go attend classes and all those things. After a year of admissions for arthritis, first that was in 2018. So in 2019 February, as I was going through my my admissions for tocilizumab injection, I lost my dad. My dad was sick. He had issues with most of his organs. He was in and out of hospital for a while, but in 2019 February 11th, he succumbed to the illness. So it was a really tough time because he was in the ICU for a long time. I will go to him and he will tell me, you just go to school, I don't want you to worry about me. And it was hard not to worry about your dad who is in hospital. So when he died in 2019 Feb, he left a huge medical bill. So my insurance could not cover any of us any longer for medical attention. So this is like in the middle of my tocilizumab injections. So I had to stop immediately, like out of nowhere, just stop. No more going to the hospital. You just manage the pain with painkillers. You are in pain, your knees are inflating, you can't walk again, but there's nothing you can do because you do not have the finances at that time. The hospital and the tocilizumab injection, just one of it was like 100K a month. That is way above our budget. We cannot afford that at that time. So I stopped my hospital visits for a whole 6 months, and I got critical. Like I could not handle it anymore because it was cold and the disease is still active in the body. So after 6 months, luckily the insurance was renewed. I went back to the hospital visits. So I continued with the in and out of hospital, the admission, the injections, the painkillers for a whole year. After a whole year, as I was in hospital, it was actually my 12th, I was going in monthly. So on the 12th visit, as I was admitted, I noticed my groin area is inflated, imefura. So I just told my doctor randomly, well, I feel like huku kumefura. My doctor asked me, since when? I may notice like yesterday. And then he checked all my lymph nodes. He said they are inflated. I didn't understand what that was. So he said, all of them are inflated, but I'll just send you in for tests just in case. So he started asking me questions like, have you been having fevers lately? Have you been feeling okay lately? I was feeling perfectly okay. But yes, I was having fevers, but for me, it was nothing major. I would really sweat at night. Like wherever I have slept on, it was soaking wet by the time I woke up. But I mean, we're in campus bedsitter chronicles. So for me, it was, it's just my bedsitter, the heat, tumepika, nini nini. So I didn't really look at it as a point of concern. So I went in for tests, biopsy, I did biopsy. And then so now the thing is I used to go get my results and then I go to my rheumatologist with them. So one thing with me is that I always looked at the results, which is not a good thing. So I looked at the results and I Googled the findings, and I'm in the washroom and the first thing that hits my eye is cancer and death, and I break down because how do I handle cancer? Like in my head, arthritis was manageable. I will take painkillers, nantakwa sawa. I will keep myself warm, wear pull necks, wear gloves, wear everything you need, and you'll be okay. But cancer, this is beyond you. This is not managing it out here. It's inside. And for me, that was a big thing. That for me, I could not get how I would handle that. So I went to my rheumatologist and I get in and I'm breaking down and he's asking me, what is it? Why are you crying? And I could not explain to him how I feel like I am going to die, because that's the first thing that came to my mind, death. So my rheumatologist, he really did encourage me. He used to tell me, he used to call me Mutuku, and then he says Osavinya. Osavinya in Kikamba means take heart, I'm a be strong. And that for me was the beginning of my journey of strength. So that was in, it was in, I think, 2020. So my rheumatologist referred me to an oncologist. I went to my oncologist for my first appointment. Of course, she also had to like look at my results and see how things are. And thank you. After analyzing the results and doing further tests, she confirmed it was what? It was Hodgkin's lymphoma. This is basically cancer of the lymph nodes. So now I had to go for a PET scan for staging and really know how far are we. So I went to Aga Khan Hospital for my PET scan. Then again, after getting my results for PET scan, I find out that it's at stage 3. I am having cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma, at stage 3. For me, all this was like a big scary thing, because stage 3, the final stage is stage 4. So if you are at stage 3, what does it mean to you? To me, it was just death, death, death. And I could not understand why. First of all, God had to take my dad, then me after. I mean, in my head, I was like, I'm the last born. Why would you take me first? But again, I think, so who? If not you, who? So after we have actually known that it's stage 3, it's Hodgkin's lymphoma, we had to look if their bone marrow is affected. Luckily, it wasn't. So that was good news. Most of lymphomas are treatable. Most of the lymphomas can be cured. So the doctor tells me that you will have to shave your hair, your nails will darken, your skin will darken, you will have nausea, you will have vomiting. And every time I just hear something new, I feel like I am discouraged the more. I can't do it anymore. The biggest thing for me was my hair, because how do you tell me already I have a disease, an active disease in my body, and then you tell me that my hair is going to fall off? So I could not imagine how that was. So I started my chemotherapy sessions. They were every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks you go for chemo. So for me, chemo was not painful. The first thing the doctor advised me is to get a chemo pot, which is used for the infusion of the chemo drugs. So I don't use my veins. I didn't use my veins. So for me, it was not painful at all. But the after effects, after you get your chemo session, the effects after are what just blow you over. So after I will get my sessions, I will get tough nauseas. I will get very bad. I will feel like my body is just not mine, literally. I could not eat anything because the smell of food was inafanya tu nisikie kutapika. Like I could not handle it. And I remember as I started my first session, my dad, who had also gone through 3 kinds of cancer, was encouraging me. And the first thing he told me is that cancer is not a death sentence. For me, all this time, cancer meant death. As much as I'm going through chemotherapy, cancer meant death. But when he came in and started working with me, he told me, the very first thing he said was, cancer is not a death sentence. And if I have done 3, you can go through it. And from there, I was getting encouraged. It was not easy at all. It was not easy. Because you will think of going for tests. One, you will do tests before your chemotherapy. And the test is what will determine if at all you will do the chemotherapy or not. Chemotherapy meant a whole day in bed, just waiting, just feeling the feelings of nausea and dizziness and headaches and not being, and that is in itself was not easy. So you will prepare yourself psychologically to go for chemo. So you go for test today and you're told, no, you can't do chemo tomorrow, wait another week. So you have to go home, prepare yourself, eat, make sure that your white blood cells or your neutrophils are back to the normal level before you go for the next chemo session. And there are days you will go again after a week and they're still not there. They're still at 0 and you wait another week. And it will become tough because you want to finish, but you cannot go on because of the results. So I did 12 sessions of chemotherapy every 2 weeks. That was from, I think, February, when I was diagnosed, when everything was confirmed. And after my 12 sessions, I was excited as I went for my PET scan, because I felt I no longer get the sweats, I no longer get the fevers, and I felt we are done. Funny thing, as I was going through my chemotherapy, they had said my hair will cut. My hair actually increased. My skin did not darken. My nails became longer. So everything that the doctor had said, nothing happened. So at the same time as I'm going through my second line of chemo now, which is way much tougher, my grandmother gets diagnosed with cancer. So my mom has not healed from my dad, because it's not even more than a year. I have cancer, I am in my second line. Now my grandmother, who is her mother, gets cancer. So it is basically like thrice the pressure on her. And she is the breadwinner now that dad is not there. So you go to hospital, I will go to hospital, I will just, my mom will sit there, and she just looks hopeless. Like she's looking at you, trying to be there, but you can tell she is not okay. So I do my second line of chemo every 1 week. And again, the blood levels go down. Again, you get the neutrophils are not the levels that are needed for you to go through the chemotherapy. You get the transfusions, the platelets transfusions all over again. But again, my friends came through, my family came through, they were always there. I remember I was such a regular at the hospital, until if I will go into hospital in the morning for chemotherapy, the nurse will not take me to look for a bed. They will tell me, si unajua kitanda yako? Enda. Like that is how frequent I was in and out of that hospital. So after doing my second line of chemo, by the time we got to the 6th session, I think, the cancer that had spread to my spleen was now resolved. But now the doctor said we need to do a transplant, because you have had rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disorder. You have had cancer, which was more or less related to the same. So let's do a transplant. Let's try and renew your system, reboot your system afresh. So Kenya does not do transplants, stem cell transplants. So I had to go to India. So we had to move up and down looking for the papers, looking for everything we need to go. So we were supposed to go in March early this year, March 2021. But again, as we were running up and down, my mom handling her mom that had cancer, she got COVID. So now we have booked our flight. We have made all the necessary arrangements, but now we can't go because mom is positive. So now it means isolation. We have to isolate ourselves from our friends, isolate ourselves from everyone around us, and sort the COVID thing. So mom can't stay alone, so I have to stay with her. We stay 1 week, she goes and gets tested again, still positive. 2 weeks, we go get tested together, I am positive now. My mom has COVID, I have COVID. Now we can't go at all. So we're at home. Mom's COVID was really bad because she had all the symptoms. But funny enough, with my weekend immunity, I had no symptoms. I was totally okay. So we stayed, I think, for 3 weeks or something, and kept going for tests after every 2 weeks or so. So finally, after I think a month and a half in the house with COVID, we tested negative. So see, we booked our flight to India for the transplant. When we reached in India, that was the same time when their COVID numbers had really shot up. So when we landed, there was a lockdown. That very day is when the lockdown was being implemented. So we had to stay in the hotel, no going out, no nothing, no interaction with anybody, in the house the whole time. The only people that will go out if at all you're going to the hospital, or if not the hospital, back to your place. Those were the only movements allowed. So everything had come to a standstill, and it was really scary because there are a lot of people. As much as you're in the hotel, there are people cleaning your room, there are people bringing food in. So it was really scary because you hear people calling from home, "Are you okay? We can see the numbers are so high. Are you okay?" We tell them we're okay. Good thing going to India for me was not as hard because my insurance was able to cover that. And for me, that was God, because all through I have never lacked finances to go for treatment. So we went to India, we went for the test, and then I was admitted in hospital. So as I was admitted in hospital, the very first thing we had to do was a harvest. We had to harvest the cells that were in my system. We had said that my bone marrow was not affected, so I could donate for myself. So we had to harvest around 3 million cells, and in the first a harvest is a 7 to 8 hour process. So you will stay 7 to 8 hours in the bed, not moving, not going anywhere. For me that time, it wasn't easy because I was menstruating at that time. So it's a 7-hour process on the bed, and you're on your menstruation. So it was tough, it wasn't easy, but my mom was there with me. So you have worn a tampon, you've worn 2 pads, but you still leak and you want to go to pee. My mom has to go get a bowl and come and put it on the bed for me to pee while on the bed. It was not easy. So, but we did the harvest the first day, and at the end of the day, after a 7-8 hour process that was not easy for you, you're told it's not enough. You have to do the harvesting yet again. You have to repeat the same process tomorrow. So we repeat the process again the next day. Still the same things. Mom being there for me, helping me go to the loo, everything that I need. And after the harvest, now we do chemotherapy, because after the cells are harvested, we have to try and reduce your immunity to the lowest point possible. So we do a 5 consecutive day chemotherapy. In my head, when I'm told I'm doing a 5-day, I remember the ones I was doing back at home. I will do it weekly, but the effects were so severe I could not handle. So how will this 5 consecutive day process be? And I could not imagine how it will be. But we started it. I mean, the one thing I am grateful about my journey is that God has always given me the strength to take it a day at a time. It has not been easy. There are times you will just wake up and feel like you want to give up, but God gives you the strength to continue. And people who are there for you, your family, your friends, yeah. So we do chemotherapy for 5 consecutive days. The harshest of the chemotherapy was the last day. For this one, I had to be on ice. Like, I had to take ice for the whole time. As the med ilikuwa inaingia, you had to be on ice consecutively. You eat ice, you drink cold water, you drink cold juice the whole time. So your mouth will literally be numb, because if you don't take ice, your whole system is burnt by the chemotherapy. That was the final day, the 5th day. After that, my whole hair, after my first line, hair had started growing. So I had a short hair. After my first line, after the 5 sessions, the whole hair came down. The same effects. My skin darkened, everything, every effect that was there before came back. And after 5 days, now we do the transplant. That is where we bring back the cells that we had harvested. We bring them back. After being put back in my system, my body sort of not really rejected, but the effects were severe. I would get bad stomach aches. I would vomit every time I just put something or I smell food. I would have fevers that were not going down. I would sweat immensely, like totally. So my mom is a person who does not hapendi kuona mtu, a person that is puking, but you're there and you're puking, and she's the only one there, so she has to do it for you. She comes and helps you wipe the vomit that you have done. At times I would wake up, and because of the 5 consecutive chemos, I cannot bathe because I am too tired. I feel like a person that has just had COVID. I cannot bathe. So Mom comes and washes me. She helps me go to the loo, she helps me walk, she helps me go to bed, she helps me basically do everything that I could not do for myself. So that was after the transplant, but now with time things started becoming easier and easier. The pain started declining, the vomiting, now I could eat. So yeah, with time it became better and better, and then after finally we were declared cancer free, and that was a joy. And throughout my journey I learned that bald or not, you are beautiful, and cancer is not a death sentence. You can fight it. It will not be easy because it is not a walk in the park, but you can do it, you can fight it, you can get to the end of it, and it is not a death sentence. Physically or in my body, I'm feeling perfectly okay, no pains, no nothing. At least now I can interact with my friends as much as we still keep the distance and all. Yeah, it's been okay, it's been fine.